Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of Magic in Theory and Practice book review by Aleister Crowley. Thanks for staying with me if you're still here. We'll try to finish this up in a timely manner. So I talked about various things in the past presentation, and like my study into the occult and the divine has basically almost hit a block, like a brick wall. But like this is like where it was like a turning point. Like I said, this is like almost like I'm happy that I saved something for last. He talks avidly in there about many of the things that I'm into, alchemy, other things. I mentioned how like when I would read this book, like my candle flickers, or like I'll go down to throw a log in a fire and like almost like the fire like dances if I'm listening to music or something. It's like really, really, really intriguing. I mentioned about Lavey, saying that occultism makes an average person a big fish, and this ties into other things like the Akashic record, the astral plane, and he talks about like the phantoms of the astral plane. And I talked about how I have the ability to like control the ionosphere and evoke other phenomenon as well. Some people may not like to hear this, but it's true. So I told you I went back the week after the tornadoes, and like they were messing with me with the clones in Philadelphia and everything. Just try to irritate me, get under my skin. And it was like I kind of got the last laugh, and I almost feel a connection to like one of my deceased friends who was an Italian Catholic, Nicholas Louis Petragnani the fourth, which I really believe they drove to suicide, or like facilitated it, or maybe he's not even really dead. Who knows? So I went back, walked down the same place, and I take like my Thor's hammer and just slightly tap 3 times on the black iron gates there. You see my Thor's hammer. Eventually, I'm going to start making some of these, maybe selling them as like medallions or something like that. The amazing power in Thor's hammer, and Crowley talks about it avidly all the time. Crowley, like just an amazing figure in my opinion, and like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Definitely like an archangel, or like I said, it was almost like he wanted to be sent to hell to be some kind of like a torturer or something like that. That's what I believe also that they poisoned him, and that's like why maybe he seemed to be a little bit peculiar, probably like people think about me. And so I showed you a tetragrammaton. I said 3 times the one night. I go outside and I see this 7, and there's like also another one. You see, there's like it looks like a duck right there. It's not showing up too good here. Right there, it's like a duck that showed up. Like you even have the eyes and everything. So I go to, like I said, the Villanova, like trying to just repeat the whole same thing, and I go back up, and at this point I'm heavily chemtrailed. I mean, like they're bursting up my cloud formations. Horrible. God only knows what's in it and everything. I go back up to the organ house, and I also go to another area. There's like this Villanova University hotel, like complete deep underground military bases. One guy even told me there's like a rail state, like some kind of special rail system underneath of it. And then like you go down a little bit, there's like this industrial center, and there's like a school there. Guaranteed there's like underground bases under the school. Like most people would be killed if they talked about and did what I did. Like I said, here I am, come and get me. So I walk back, and like right in front, like I told you about the difference between philosophy and magic. And like almost like I found out if I go in front of like an intersection, that like to have people in front of you, it builds it. And this is why they keep me so suppressed, because the limp dick Freemasons know that like it's like to deprive somebody of their existence is like there's a lot of value to it. And I've actually incorporated this into my own practice. I have like a blacklist, and like 80% of my entire family is on this blacklist. I won't talk to them. And so I go to sit down at a bench, and there's like I told you about like the use of a wand, and also like it's knocking 3 times, or like knocking. It's like almost like if you ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, they like talk about there's like the scene with the Doors. Jim Morrison from the Doors, he talked about this as well. It's like the pathway between what's known and what's not known. Very special, like esoteric, symbolic aspects, and like metaphoric hyperbole into this windows and doors especially. So I have this at my altar, and has nothing to do with the Freemasons. It's a dedication to General George Washington. His is actually smaller than this, and this one's not big. So I take it up to a light, the traffic light, and keep in mind my skies are heavily chemtrailed. They saw me coming. I tapped. "12 times. It was exactly 12 o'clock, almost like Father Time. Then, like 3 minutes later, I see this. A 3. This is backwards because of my phone, and like it looked like a perfect 3. When you see this, the pictures that I'm gonna post, you'll see it actually looks way more like a 3 than it does here. But it's the same 3 from a song that I've been like really getting into, 311, and the specific song is "Beautiful Disaster." And like right before the whole the tornado, I posted on there. You can see here. You can go on there. 3 weeks ago, "Sickness and plagues breathe new famine. What a blessing for us all to examine." And like I don't mean that in like a sarcastic way. Like I do mean it in a sarcastic way. There's like 10 different ways to interpret it. Just think about it. Sickness and plagues breathe new famine. What a blessing for us all to examine. Like everything going on here. Like this nuclear war that we're in because of Trump and his fake family and some other evil Zionists. And 5 of the 12 Chinese imperial bloodlines. I drew this. Drew a picture of the world and like other stuff going on with it. And wrote that at the top. It's kind of interesting there. Not the greatest artist, but it doesn't really matter. So, like I said, Aleister Crowley talks about Thor's hammer. So after that, the 3 showed up. There was like a direct sign. Father, Son, and Spirit. The Druidism gets into the thing of 3s. Also 311. 3 times 11 is 33. Or other things as well. It's kind of interesting there. So that night I go to the Philadelphia again. There was this time, ironically, there wasn't Italians with clones or people walking with clones. There were clones there, but they were by themselves. And I guess it's like these people can't swallow their pride enough to get the effing point. At this point, I think like I talked before about just how when you practice this alchemy and witchcraft, the best way is just to kill people with kindness. And so this cloud formation I saw, which is almost, I would liken it to being prophetic, and you can see there's eyes. For some reason this is not showing good, but it's like a demon playing a trumpet, and there's actually 2 eyes and 2 horns, but it's like a demon playing a trumpet. I saw that right in the moon as well. And then I also, when I'm getting ready to stand in line for skating, I saw again nighttime a heart. Cutout of heart, not even what cloud, but a cutout, which is even cooler, right in front of the William Penn building, where I laid a domage of oak wand, a Pennsylvania red oak wand, to just to like kind of keep the whole spiritual thing going. It's like I said, I saw that the same thing on my way up to the Russian embassy, ironically near this bank. And it's like, kill them with kindness, or they get the point. I never, since like this whole thing, I feel like almost like the reincarnated Aleister Crowley in me. Like you can see, there's a picture of the old devil there. You see like this one. He talks in the book about using one eye to like tap into the astral plane. You can also stare into a mirror. You can also stare into a piece of crystal. But like I was pretty happy. Like I said, this is like a victory one after, like I said, the whole 3 showed up. And this other signs, it's really cool. People deny my presence. At some point, maybe, like I said, I'll get my microphone and my stage, and I'll be able to tell it how it is. And there's like, I'm gonna start going into other things now, but like big thing is he talks about like using the phantoms of the astral plane to basically like take the king off the chessboard. And there's more power to this than you realize. I mean, like if you really embrace this, this is out of his book, and this is like one of the coolest passages in any book that I've ever read. Like when I read this, I was just enthralled. I thought this was like the coolest thing ever. It says, "It is, however, always easy to call up the demons, for they are always calling you. And all you have to do is step down to their level and fraternize with them. They will tear you into pieces at your leisure, not at once. They will wait until you have wholly broken the link between you and your holy guardian angel before they pounce, lest at the last moment you escape. And like, this is what I was saying. Like, I always say that our minds should always be fixed on God, not like TV, not music, not, what kind of new car we're going to look to buy, or, whatever. Like, we should always, like, if you don't allow yourself to be influenced by outside influences, you can't lose. And it's like I said, like, when you start to, take your mind off of what's important, that's when you become very susceptible to mind control, and it's not good from there. And so, yes, the whole thing, like I said, it was really interesting. He talks same thing I felt. He said that the devil and God, devil isn't real. That basically God is the devil is God, and they're like complements of each other. And like, there's certain things that he talks about that I don't agree with, like certain polytheistic aspects of understanding of the notion of multiple gods. I don't really like this notion as much. Like I said, I can't say I agree with every single thing with him, but like as far as that goes, like devil, God being the same. But he said the demons are real, and they're always there calling you, or you can call on them because they're always there calling you. Oh my goodness, like I almost lost it. And he's my favorite thing. Another thing that I got from this as well, absolutely loved, is he talks about the power of the Eucharist. And like, I didn't even know what that is. It's like basically like communion, like the symbolism of the wine, the blood of Christ through salvation, and also the bread, the body. There's different interpretations of the bread part. Some people look at it different ways. But he says that basically people who are adept at practicing magic, they do this every day. I have a candle with Christ on it that I light every day. And like, that's my form of doing it. So like, like there's other little things as well. But this one is the greatest. He said, like, this is secret. Like, if you're still with me, you deserve to like hear this. Okay, so like, he was saying, lay in front of the altar, prostrate on the ground, like on your back, like below the altar, like basically you're below Christ. Like, nobody will ever be as good as Jesus Christ. Like, it's like prostrate yourself, like know your place. And it says, saying, this is from Luke 22 to 42 to 44, King James Version. And if you read this and you don't feel touched and you're a Christian, you're not a Christian. There is probably no more powerful verse in the entire Bible than this. Just think about your Christ. And he says, like in his, like before he's getting ready to be crucified, he says, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, thine be done. And then appeared to him an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was, as it were, great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And like immediately, like I just felt like almost like this amazing inner peace that came to me when I said these words. And like I said, just you lay prostrate and you say this, and there's amazing, amazing power to it. And so I'm going to go through here and just hit on some points real quick. Just go run through. This is not in any special order. I encourage you to read this book. And, some of this stuff I may repeat again. But, like, break free from the chains of this dimension that bind you and confine you. Like, to connect to a deeper spiritual realm. Like I said, you can call on demons and these phantoms of the astral plane to, like, basically do your dirty work for you. And he says the last judgment is the ultimate. Like, he talks about many ceremonies and like becoming a master of your temple. And like the last judgment is the ultimate, like the ceremony of all ceremonies with Michael the Archangel. And like basically like fire, brimstone and fire, and like it all comes down to the last judgment. He says the tetragrammaton is like abracadabra. I told you it's like the mathematical equivalent of God in Hebrew or something like that. And I talked, if you watch, I actually did a black mass. He talks about black masses, black magic, and he also talks about the White Brotherhood, which is interesting, which is like some of like the stuff that the Ku Klux Klan was into. But anyhow, I talk about you begin this each ceremony with 3 knocks, like to basically call on the divine, something like that. But he says you end the ceremonies with "We now depart in peace." And like I found value to that. I will definitely incorporate that into my black masses and other ceremonial forms of religious expression. The prostrate thing I talked about, and the Magick, he spells Magick, which is kind of interesting. I talked about how it's the ultimate form of philosophy and the difference between magic and philosophy or meditation. And he says over and over and over again, at least 20 times, call on the archangel, call on the archangel, call on the archangel. Like there's no greater force. And balance of weapons at your altar, the balance of your altar is very important. You know, other things like virgin blood, goats. I'm not going to get too deep into that. And purity of the heart at the altar. Like, he talks about purification and, like, basically purifying. There's other things he gets into with, like, drugs and sex magic. He was an avid drug user. I believe that he found, you know, amazing power to this. Also, like, the sexual stuff as well. Kind of interesting. And talks about using books for destruction. And, like, just like I do with alchemy. Like, you can use tarot cards or books. Use books. And, like, it's like it builds consciousness or energy into something. And he talks about using air as a weapon. And there's another quote here. Stay with me. He says, what's he say? Purification is performed by water and banishing by air, whose weapon is the sword. You know, want to know why I use a knife? Once again. He talks about the samadhi, which is like this Buddhist expressions. There was a band not far from where I live, Live. They had this amazing album in the 90s, Secret Samadhi, one of my all-time favorites. Ties in like a bigger matrix, I believe. It talks about using snakes, you know, fire, all kinds of stuff. The Eucharist, like I said, perform it every day to be a better magician. And talk, you know, about the whole thing, just with like, you can draw pictures and do other things. Become a master of your temple, nonetheless. And, you know, all this, you know, is, like I said, not even, doesn't even touch on the full scope of what he talks about. I have another book that I just recently got from the library about the law or something like that. And I hope to read other stuff from him in the future. And, you know, I hope that maybe you find value to this. Please feel free to leave your comments and maybe share some of your occult practices with me as well. I'm very interested to hear what other people do if they perform similar type of ceremonial magic. Thanks. Take care.